And welcome inside the Getting Loose with Leon podcast, motor racing news and bets without access. You got the big O Leon Oliver sitting alongside you at 11 a.m. on March the 22nd, year of our Lord, 2025, as we get ready for another action-packed weekend of racing. Make sure to log on and subscribe, follow, click that notification bell, and be a friend, tell a friend, and spread the word. We are hitting on winners 3 of the last 4 weeks so far this season. So let's get on the train and let's make some money. We'll talk a little bit more about the picks and everything coming up here in just a little bit as we got an action-packed weekend. Of course, everyone's doing March Madness. Don't forget there's good racing going on right now too. And if you're like me, you're going to be up in the middle of the night because F1 is back in China on ESPN 3 a.m. This morning coming up, Sunday morning, I guess, Saturday night, Sunday morning, however you want to call it, 3 a.m. Live, the Heineken Chinese Grand Prix. Of course, F1 taking that break from China from 2020 to 2023 before coming back last year, of course, not being in China due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and then coming back last year with Max Verstappen getting the win there. Saw some exciting racing this morning. Lewis Hamilton showing what he can do in that Ferrari, getting the win in the sprint race. And then Lewis is starting up pretty high this afternoon as well. He's going to be 5th starting there in China, but Oscar Piastri on the pole there for McLaren, followed by George Russell, Lando Norris 3rd, Max Verstappen 4th, and then Lewis starting in 5th as Mercedes locks out 5th and 6th with Charles Leclerc right behind him on that one. So 3 a.m. We'll be getting underway from China. Then, of course, tomorrow, NASCAR rolls into Homestead-Miami there, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and let's get into the picks and everything for this week. And for that, we have to do what we call Big O's Picks. All right, let's stack some cash. Big O's Picks brought to you by absolutely no one. If you want to sponsor this or anything related to this podcast, make sure to shoot us an email at info@letsnotdothispodcast.com. We'll talk a little turkey, see what we can do as we help us help you help us. So let's go ahead and help you make some money this week with some picks. As we mentioned, F1 rolling into China for the Chinese Grand Prix there. My picks this week, I'm going to start off Lando Norris. He's plus 220 right now on BetMGM. Look, let's face it. If you're following F1, you're going to see a lot of the same faces and a lot of the same picks week after week. Let's face it. It's going to be Max. It's going to be Lando. Maybe Oscar can get into that title fight. But for the most part, it's going to be McLaren versus Red Bull. Who's going to come on top each week between Lando and Max? It's going to be fun to watch all season. Lando plus 220 right now on BetMGM. He's starting in 3rd. And obviously, his teammate Oscar Piastri out on the pole. Always the advantage to start on the pole in F1, especially, if he gets late in the race, will team orders come into play? Will Oscar listen if team orders come into play? How hard would McLaren let them fight? Obviously, you would figure this is only race 2 of the season, but Lando getting the win in the opener, you figure that Lando and Max is going to be the championship fight. Will McLaren let Oscar get involved? How big of a role is it going to be? It'll be interesting to see that develop as the season goes on, especially as you look on the other side of things with Red Bull. No Sergio Perez anymore. You have Liam Lawson, who continues to struggle. It's only the 2nd week of the season, but continues to struggle out in qualifying the first round. He's starting dead last in 20th this week. Obviously not having that fight, Max not having that help up there. So you have to wonder, how much is McLaren going to let these two guys go at it since Max doesn't really have anyone to back him there? How aggressive will Max be? How aggressive will Red Bull be since you don't have another car there that's looking like it's going to be in that championship fight to contend for Constructors' Championship? So I'm going to go with Lando Norris plus 220 right now. Also, you're crazy if you're not betting Max Verstappen at plus 900. I mean, look, it's Max, it's plus money. At almost 1,000, you give that to me any day of the week, I'm going to take it. Starting in fourth there, you know what he can do. He's one of the greatest of all time, and he's going to be pissed off after no longer being on top of the grid. On top of the standings. There was over 1,000 days he was on top of the standings in the F1 until Lando gets the win last week, and now he's sitting there on top. You know, Max is going to be feeling some sort of way about it. I can imagine the frustrations there, wanting to get back on top. This guy just wants to win. And it seems like winning gets boring for him sometimes. Maybe now that he's got a real fight, he can kind of get back into it a little bit. But Max at plus 900 seems like a great deal for me there. Also, another thing I'm going to go with, how many classified cars at the end of the race there? I'm going under 17.5. You can get this right now at plus 175 on BetMGM. Look, let's face it, we have 6 rookies in the field right now. We saw the carnage last week with all those rookies in the field. We saw the crashes, and poor Isaac Hajar, he didn't even get out of the formation lap before he wrecked in his debut there in the RB car. He is actually starting 7th, I believe, for the Racing Bulls tomorrow. So hopefully his day works out a little bit better. But, you got Hajar, you got Anatoly, you have Oliver Berriman and Jack Doohan and Bortoletto, and all these young, inexperienced drivers in the field, and a track that they haven't really been to because it was off the schedule until last year. It was off the schedule for 2021 and 23 until last year, finally coming back and Max getting the win. Inexperienced drivers on a track that they haven't really been to. Seems like a recipe for disaster. I'm going to go with some crashes. I'm going to go with some retires. Give me under 17.5 cars classified there at the Chinese Grand Prix. So recap real quick on China before we go to NASCAR. I like Lando at plus 220 on BetMGM, Max at plus 900 on BetMGM, and then under 17.5 classified cars. You can also get that on BetMGM right now as well. All right, moving over to NASCAR. Before we get into the race at Miami, one cool thing that I saw, the Josh Berry going with the Darlington throwback scheme. You'll see these start to come out a little bit as we get closer and closer to that race later on this season. The Darlington throwback weekend is always one of my favorites. Excuse me. You see Wood Brothers get back into the victory lane last week with Josh Berry, his first season driving that car there. I absolutely love it. This throwback scheme going back to, I believe it was 1965, and Jim Clark at the Indianapolis 500, that Ford-powered Lotus there. Beautiful paint scheme on that car. So we'll see that coming up. And I believe Darlington's coming up on April 6th there. So just a couple weeks away from that. But you'll start to see these schemes start coming out. So love that throwback that's coming there. Also, we saw this scene last week. That's Christopher Bell in Chase Briscoe's pit. There was a lot of controversy about this. What's NASCAR going to do? Christopher Bell obviously stopping on pit road in his teammate's pit last week there to get that lug nut taken care of on one of the tires. He did get a penalty for that left front wheel lug nut. Instead of going out on the track, and then coming back to pit road to tighten it up, he stopped in a 19 stall that belonged to Chase Briscoe. They got it done. He was able to go back on the track. He was penalized for pitting outside the box and sit to the rear of the field at the restart. NASCAR did speak about that this week. They did clarify that if a car receives a service in another team's stall for competition adjustments, the vehicle may receive lap penalties. And they did say, besides tightening the loose wheel nut or lug nut, the removal of a fuel can or wedge winch or jack from under the vehicle or other safety issues that will result in a flag status penalty. Hey, this is just, smart on the crew chief. This is just smart racing. And if you have the availability to go in there and take that quick penalty rather than lose a wheel out on the track and get the crew chief suspended and have a day end up being a calamity, take the minor hit there and go ahead and do it. It reminds me of Days of Thunder, I believe it is, when Tim had his people pushing Cole Trickle's car. And he's like, that's my engine in that car. And they're pushing my engine. It totally reminds me of that. And that's the advantage of having these multi-channel teams. They're multi-teams. So good on them for doing it, just being smarter than everyone else. Sometimes you got to make the rules work for you. All right, let's see who's going to make the picks work for them this week as NASCAR rolls in to Miami, Homestead-Miami for the Straight Talk Wireless 400. That's tomorrow, 3 o'clock on FS1. Of course, I will have a screen going on during this. March Madness is going, but we got to watch racing as well. So I'll have a screen up watching this as well to see what happens. In terms of the picks, Ryan Blaney, I've been heavy on him this year. I like Ryan Blaney a lot. You can get him at plus 650 right now on BetMGM. He's finished second in the last 2 races at Homestead. He's got 3 top 10 in his last 5 there in Miami as well. Very Chase Elliott looking paint scheme on that car this week. By the way, I believe it's Dent Wizard is a sponsor this week. Looks kind of like the colors of Chase Elliott in that Napa scheme, but you can get him at plus 650 right now on BetMGM, Ryan Blaney. Next up for me, Tyler Reddick, plus 600. You can get him on BetMGM. He, of course, won here last spring. He's got 4 top 5s and an average finish of, that should say average, not avenue. We'll get on the technical department for that. But an average finish of 9th at Miami and 4 top 5s there. A track that he runs really well. I've been really impressed with the speed of the Toyotas so far this season. I really like Tyler Reddick at plus 600 there on BetMGM. Another one, William Byron, just a model of consistency. He's led a lap in every race this season. He's got 4 top 10s in his last 5 at Miami. And of course, he won in the spring of 2021. You can get him plus 850 right now on FanDuel. Those Hendrick cars, always fast, always up front, always around. William Byron's just a guy that is not necessarily sexy what he does every week, but he's there. He's just always in the mix, and should things shake down, he's there to take advantage, get a win, maybe a top 5. This is a guy who's always there in the model of consistency. And those are the kind of guys that end up to win championships. Those are the kind of guys that make playoffs. You lead laps, you finish well, you keep your nose clean, you stay up front. This is a car, like I said, doesn't do anything really sexy, but he's always there. I like him at plus 850, William Byron at Miami. And then my long shot of the week, I'm kind of doubling up on this one. I'm going to give you 2 bets on my long shot of the week. I'm going to go with the Dinger, AJ Allmendinger. He's plus 6,600 right now on Bet Rivers. Did open up earlier in the week at plus 8,000. That number has come down. But to win, he's plus 6,600 on Bet Rivers. But if you want to play a little bit safer, I really, really like him as a top 10 finish. You can get that right now at plus 200 on the Caesars Sportsbook. He's got 3 top 10s in his last 3 races at Miami. That's the longest active streak of any driver right now. And he's at an average finish there of 14.9 at Homestead-Miami. And another guy who can find speed at times, kind of hang around a little bit. You never know what happens up front, maybe a big wreck. I could see this guy stealing a win before the year's over. This is the kind of place I think he could steal it. Plus 6,600, I think is really tremendous value. If you're looking for a long shot winner, you can get that on Bet Rivers. But I really love the top 10 finish. Plus 200, you can get it right now on Caesars Sportsbook. So plus 200 on Caesars Sportsbook for the AJ Allmendinger to come in 10th there or better. So the recap for Miami, Allmendinger, long shot, plus 6,600, Bet Rivers, plus 200 for a top 10 finish on Caesars. You can get William Byron to win, plus 850 on FanDuel. We have Tyler Reddick, plus 600 on BetMGM to win, and Ryan Blaney, plus 650 on BetMGM to win as well. One guy that's going for the Triple Crown this weekend, that's going to be Kyle Larson. He got the win yesterday at the Truck Series race at Miami, and even though he had this spin, I believe it was lap 90, 92, somewhere around there, gets into it, does a complete 360, little loop around there, keeps that thing under control, doesn't get into anyone else, doesn't get into the wall, comes back, great battle with Riggs, end up getting the win here. I think he only led like 20 laps on the day, but doesn't matter how many laps you lead unless you're leading the last one. So Kyle Larson gets the win there. He'll try to pick up the Xfinity win this afternoon and then look to try to make a clean sweep of the weekend tomorrow in the the Sprint Cup Series race. So we'll see, can he pull off the trifecta? He's got one leg down, but great bit of driving there to recover and finish strong. All right, so that's going to do it this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, Follow those bets, get them in, send me your slips. Let me see. I want to help you make some money. We've hit 3 out of the last 4 weeks. We've given you a winner. Let's keep that train going this week, and make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you back here next week on Getting Loose with Leon. Until next time, kick the tires and light the fires.